welcome back from that. And at this particular time, we're heading to the press review as we see what's making headlines into the print media. And as always, I have two sets here on with me on table, and I'm going to start with the New Vision as we take a look at what's making headlines. That's in the world of business. All right, government, private sector partner to market organic products. Of course, the government in partnership with Participatory Ecological Land Use Management, that's PELAM, has launched a new model to support marketing of organic products. Wow, very interesting. Charito Namuwoza, the Chief Executive Officer, National Organic Agriculture Movement of Uganda, said the guide to participatory guarantee system was to help, that's the producers and other actors attain organic certification through second-party certification. That is very important right there. The second party certification involves farmers, consumers, agriculture, extension workers, and local leaders who come together to verify the farmers' organic products to ensure that they meet the domestic or African organic product standard. That is something very remarkable right there regarding that particular aspect. And of course, let me still in the New Vision, I go through here as government issues new guidelines that's for schools regarding Ebola to combat the current epidemic that is of course causing quite a number of worries to so many people in the country. As of course there are some other people, the major reason why they are so scared is regarding a possible lockdown, and of course which was suggested by some of the health workers right there. But definitely it's quite something that is on everyone's mind, that worry of the lockdown lately. And of course, now in a fresh move to combat the spread of Ebola, the government has directed all schools to regularly check children's temperature and observe all other standard operating procedures that were in place. Of course, they're going to apply the same measures that were applied during the COVID-19 as one of the ways they can start with to combat the spread of Ebola. All right. Okay, still this, of course, this follows the death of a pupil at school in Rubaga Division who was among the 170 contacts, and of course, of national cluster patient that infected pupils from 3 schools that's in Rubaga Division. This was healed. This was revealed by the secretary, the ministry's permanent secretary, that's Dr. Diana Atwine, of course, in an exclusive interview with the media right there. Okay, and still away from that, I'm still in the New Vision. I see something really very interesting here as over 900,000 people receive parish development model cash. And of course, the government has disbursed 151.7 billion of parish development model fund revolving to an estimated of 910,500 beneficiaries as of yesterday. Of course, highly placed sources that's in the finance ministry say that the money has been processed for only verified and cleared savings and credit corporations, or what we call as SACCOs, that are currently over 6,070. And of course, one of the ways you can actually benefit from the parish development model funds is when you form a SACCO as a group of people. That's when that money is distributed for you. You're not going to receive this money as an individual. All right. However, sources clarified that this number is based on 30 persons, that's per group, which is the maximum number. Each parish SACCOs has 5 groups, and each group has between 10 and up to 30 members. Of course, that's according to what is explained right there. Okay, and still looking through what's making headlines in the world of business. Of course, we see here quite a lot is going on, and of course there is an opinion here regarding that half of the agro inputs on the market are fake. Okay, that is still right there regarding an article written regarding that. And maybe to wind up with the New Vision, let's take a look at Water Ministry seeking 4.5 trillion Ugandan shillings for natural resources, as the Ministry of Water and Environment needs 4.5 trillion every year to address concerns in the natural resources sector. The money is needed to manage the natural resources, environment, climate change, land and weather management program, which are being implemented by various government ministries. The program is expected to help reverse some of the environmental related disasters. All right, now I'm done with the new vision. Let's head straight to the Daily Monitor and see what's making headlines. I only have, it's exactly actually 40 minutes past the hour of 7. I'm supposed to be heading into the international news, but let's briefly review what's making headlines. And of course, in the world of business, in the Daily Monitor here, as I'm looking through. Okay, and of course, Museveni blocks plot to raise members of parliament, of course, to raise MP salaries. That's regarding that. President Museveni has rejected a proposal that's by the members of parliament to have their salary and pension contribution that's increased. Of course, in October 13, later, to Speaker Anita Among, Mr. Museveni declined to an assent after he was advised by the Ministry of Finance and Planning and Economic Development that the bill presented to them for assessment of its financial implications. And of course, it did not include the amendments to increase their contribution to the government from 30 to 40%. All right, that's what is happening right there regarding that, as Museveni blocks plot to raise members of parliament salary. Okay, and still looking through to see in the Daily Monitor what's making headlines, as I'm just heading straight to the international news, and we see what's making headlines right there. Maybe just a little before I get there, I see something very remarkable here as charcoal scarcity pushes prices up. Of course, households using charcoal as their main source of fuel should brace, that's for harder times, as the price of the commodity continues to shoot to the roof. In most urban centers in central region districts, charcoal prices have increased from 80,000 shillings just per sack to 100,000 shillings in the past couple of months. All right, still looking at Gulu, Arua, Soroti cities failed to raise revenue. That's still in the Daily Monitor, though I won't get into the details of that due to the interest of time. And now, at this particular time, let's head straight to the international news. And of course, now we are heading straight to review what's making headlines in the world of business, but outside Uganda. We are crossing the borders, and of course, we are going to start with Kenya. And this time around, we are looking at the weakening economy pushes Kenyan banks. That's to brink of a fresh crisis. Kenyan banks are teetering on the brink of another crisis triggered by the deteriorating economic environment, and of course, and the president and the persistent Russia-Ukraine military conflict, after demonstrating a strong recovery from the economic fallout effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, the lenders were handed a severe blow by the COVID-19 pandemic started 2022. That's on a strong footing, posting double-digit profit growth in the 6 months. In the 6 months of June. In the 6 months to June 30th. Yes, 6 months till June 30th, with majority announcing that's resumption of dividend payment, and of course also the payment made to the shareholders. And looking still further here, the lenders' growth in profitability was largely buoyed by the increased revenues, that's from banking transactions, and of course what we call non-interest income, and interest income, that's from heavy investments in government securities. Okay, on average, the industry's gross earnings rose 9.3 percent, which is equivalent to 62.6 billion Kenyan shillings. That's from 57.3 billion, of course, Kenyan shillings in the period. According to data from the central bank, that's what it's being reviewed regarding that. However, the impressive performance came under a weakening economy whose growth is in the hand, whose growth in the second quarter, that's between April and June, that's of the year that fell, which fell to 5.2% as compared to 11% in the same period last year. Of course, the industry lobby Kenya Bankers Association, which is the KBA, said risks in the economy, and of course including skyrocketing inflation, weakening currency, falling forex reserves and falling revenue collections could filter into the banking sector, dampening prospects for the entire year. All right. Kenya inflation for September, that rose to 9.2% from 8.5%. That's in August, fueled by fueled by fuel and food prices at the same time. Meanwhile, the shilling has plunged to a record low of that's 121 Kenyan shillings against the US dollar, and of course, exacerbating imported inflation and pushing the cost of servicing foreign debts beyond the roof. The Kenya Revenue Authority has failed to meet its appropriated revenue targets. That's 3 months into 2020-2023 fiscal year, largely due to the deteriorating business environment and inflationary pressures that have forced consumers, and of course, to cut on the spending. Of course, looking at cumulatively, the taxman has collected about 465.2 billion Kenyan shillings, of course, which is equivalent to 22.5% of the regional estimates of 2.7 trillion Kenyan shillings and 89% of the appropriated estimates of 515 billion, that's Kenyan shillings. President William Ruto's administration ascended to power on the platform of economic recovery and empowerment of the economically disadvantaged majority. The president has ordered expenditure cuts of up to, of course, 300 billion Kenyan shillings. Of course, these are measures to ride the economic tsunami which is taking place right in Kenya. All right, now away from Kenya, let's head to the United States of America. This time around, we are looking at Facebook profits. Yes, we are heading to the Facebook profits as Facebook owner Meta profits hit by advert sales. Of course, there was a slowdown regarding the sales. A year ago, Mark Zuckerberg declared a virtual reality, of course, being the next frontier to drive Facebook's growth. But so far, there has been very little of that. The company's share price plunged revenues are falling and profits are on the decline. And of course, still further, the picture worsened. That's on Wednesday after the company, of course, which is now known as Meta, updated investors on 3 months that's ended in September. Sales shrunk 4% compared to a year ago to 27.7 billion. That's dollars. Well, and of course, that is quite a big decline. So the 27.7 explains the 4% decline. Okay, the company, which also owns Instagram and WhatsApp, is struggling as companies cut advertising budgets in the face of economic uncertainty. And of course, changes to Apple's privacy settings undercuts its targeted adverts and competition from rivals such as TikTok, and of course, and so many others. Mr. Zuckerberg, who founded Facebook at university almost 2 decades ago, acknowledged the firm faced near-term challenges. Of course, he said the company was focused on becoming more efficient and hinted at job cuts, saying the firm may be a small organization, and of course, come next year. There are quite a lot of things going on right now in the business, in the world, and of course, quite so many businesses are facing a little bit of downfalls. And of course, that's according to Mark Zuckerberg, a statement he made. And he said that we are going to resolve each of these challenges. And he says he thinks that those who are patient and invest with them will end up being rewarded. He believes that those who are patient with Facebook and invest in Facebook will be rewarded at the end of the day. Wow, very interesting. Investor confidence plunged in February when the company revealed it had lost daily users for the first time ever. And of course, then in July, the company reported its first quarterly decline in revenue as companies spooked by economic outlook, cut their advertising budgets. So the companies they used to advertise with Facebook cut their advertisement budgets right there. Of course, that's leading to low income. Still on the report, shares in the firm are trading roughly 60% lower than they were at the start of the year, wiping hundreds of billions of the company's value right there. And of course, they slid a further 15% in after hours trade, as executives warned that improvement would take it in the wider range of the economy. All right, Now we wind up the business international news as we look to Egypt. And now this time around, we're looking at the Egyptian currency sliding a record low. Very, very remarkable there. Egypt's currency fell by more than 14% to a record low against the US dollar that was on Thursday. According to the data, it showed that after the central bank said had moved to a durably flexible exchange rate regime. And of course, and the interest rates were raised by 200 basis points. The North African country is trying to secure a loan from the International Monetary Fund after its economic woes deepened, of course, due to the war in the Ukraine. The fund has long been urging Egypt to allow greater exchange rate and, of course, flexibility at large. Following out of cycle meeting of its monetary policy committee, the central bank said it was raising the overnight lending rate to 14.25% and the overnight deposit rate to 13.25% to anchor inflation expectations and contain demand side pressures. The central bank said it was intended, of course, to intensifying economic reforms and had moved to a flexible exchange rate regime, leaving forces of demand and supply, and of course to determine the value of the EGP against foreign other currencies. That's the Egyptian currency against other foreign currencies. Shortly after the central bank statement was issued, the pound weakened rapidly to around 22.5 to the dollar from an opening level of 19.67. Of course, that's according to the data from Refinitiv. Of course, a very remarkable media right there. The bank had allowed the pound to depreciate that by 14% in March and had been slipping more gradually, of course, in the recent weeks ahead of Thursday's sudden fall. Yes, yesterday's sudden fall. The war in Ukraine pushed Egypt's bills of wheat and oil, while dealing, of course, a blow to tourism from two of its largest markets, which were Ukraine and Russia, which, of course, were a key source of hard currency. So Russia and Ukraine are the countries which are at war currently, have been potential sources of tourists leaving those countries to go to Egypt, handing over hard cash to the nation. And of course, that in a way is affecting their currency against other reserve currencies that can be the dollar and the Great Britain pound. All right, and that's it for the international news. It's exactly 52 minutes, actually 53 minutes past the hour of 7 a.m. And at this particular time, we head straight to the business tips and quotes to inspire you and encourage you in your career regarding the business. But firstly, let's review the business tip of the day. Okay, the business tip of the day talks about boosting your online presence of your business. I guess we have really, it's not the first time we're reviewing this, but of course we keep repeating this tip simply because we know we always have, our first time viewers that come to review, of course, what we really put out there. And it says no matter how successful your business is offline, its online presence will determine the future success. Having a website not only improves your visibility, but also improves your conversion rate. Of course, in addition, it establishes your business as a reliable brand. Yes. Now, for the first-time viewers, that is something that really needs to be put into great consideration. And of course, for those that are pursuing a great career in the world of business, and we see that there is evolution that is taking place on a daily basis, and the COVID-19 pandemic was a great teacher. But I don't want to accredit really COVID-19 for this. This is something that has been really taking place even before the COVID-19 came into place. The online presence of any business, it's a very, very important concept because people, we consumers are very different out there in the world. We have different tastes and there are different perceptions, and majority perceive that for business to be a brand that is legit. Let me use that word legit. Of course, it will have to take its it being online, if somebody can really search you on online and they can get you there, having an online address, it makes them feel secure and safe for their company, and they feel like in case something doesn't go right, they have where they can go and report their claims, their grievances on the website online, and of course be able to be reached out to and served appropriately. So it's very important to get your online presence. You may not be in position to hire people to put for you websites, but actually even social media platforms can be a really very potential way where you can start. Of course, you start small. You're not going to start, it's not really advisable to start with something really big, because remember, when you talk about a website, you will need to have a host, and that's money you'll have to pay on a yearly basis. Well, so you can't see that, you take it step by step. All right, and that's it regarding the business tip of the day. And now let's get to the business quote of the day. Yeah, the business quote of the day says, "Get a mentor in the applicable field if you're, of course, at all unsure of what you're looking for." This was written by Kyle Braga, that's the founder of Force and co-founder of Exposure. Oh, yes, getting a mentor, and also this is not the first time we are reviewing this business quote by that gentleman right there. That, you see, it's very important that sometimes it's okay, you may have the knowledge and of course to do something, but it's always important to consider the advice of people that have been ahead of you before. And that's why we have this segment on Smart Means Business regarding business quotes and tips, because these are tips that we are written by the people that we look up to. Actually, this particular quote explains this entire segment of the business quotes and tips, whereby these are written by the people that we look up to. Now, whoever wrote, participates in writing these tips and quotes, we consider them mentors, because they are writing these quotes from a place of experience of what they have gone through. So it's very important, regardless of what you think you know, to take their advice very seriously, because they have seen it all. Let me use that word. They have seen it all. And of course, you're just pursuing your career as a fresh person. You probably think you know. Yes, you know, that is the truth. I'm not saying you don't know. You know that it's very important to check your knowledge, whether to validate it. Let me say that. It should be validated. And the best way it can be validated is when it's passed through the eyes of somebody that has authority in that field you're trying to pursue. All right, it's exactly 57 minutes past the hour of 7, 3 to make 8. And of course, we are going to get into a short commercial break. We shall be returning with the coffee quote. Good morning.